everybody. This is about the story of when my sociopathic husband, ex-husband, told my children that I was dead. Yeah, you heard it right. If you haven't watched my video on when I went to jail, I'm gonna link it. Anyways, listen to that story because this kind of hooks onto that. I talk about how I'd been, basically left, just destitute, and then I had, this kind of breakdown, and I got arrested for forging a prescription for antidepressant medication. I know, it's ridiculous. I'm not kidding you. My story is just stranger than fiction, and there's all these little details that no one's ever known. So, of course, no one's ever known that it was antidepressant medication. All they knew is I got arrested for forging a prescription. So I got to live with my brother, and I tell this another story, but eventually what ends up happening is that the court decides that I would be safer in jail than at my brother's house. So go to another video to see why that happens. So, there's no chance to, I have to go immediately right that day, so I don't get a chance to even say goodbye to my kids. But my court orders say that there be liberal phone contact. I'm in jail for 6 months, but for 3 of those months, I'm completely in jail, and for the last 3 months, I'm on work release, so I can leave jail. And so, for 3 months, I can't get a hold of my kids. He won't answer the phone. And so, I finally, when I get on work release, I make a beeline to the school to see my kids. And the teacher, my son's 4th grade teacher, stood there and was just, her jaw just dropped. And I didn't know. And believe me, it was a very stressful thing to go there. He had moved them, against court orders again, he had moved them to a whole new school. He'd taken them out of school, moved them into a whole new school, and told them that their mother was dead. Of course, I don't know this yet. But I go there and I see my kids, and they're thrilled to see me. I see my niece, she's thrilled to see me. And but the teacher pulls me aside, she's like, I have to tell you that I'm stunned to see you, because Noah's been in counseling since he came here because he said his mother had died. And she said every time they did a project about draw your family or something like that, he would just break down in tears. I was just shocked. I didn't say anything to Noah. Noah seemed fine, and he didn't say anything to me either about it. And Liam never said anything to me about it, never. But I know it's true because I called their dad, and I confronted him about, not answering the phone and all this stuff and what's been going on. And I said, did you tell the kids that I was dead? He's like, yeah, I did. And the reason I picked up the phone, it was just easier, Basically what it was is that he had decided that I was dead, basically. He decided this was it, that I was done for. The whole family decided that because of this thing that I had done, I was just like, I should have a life in prison, I guess. That basically, I was as good as dead. I was out of the kid's life. I was as good as dead. They just treated me like I was dead. And so they thought of me as though I was dead. And of course, what's super creepy about it is that in 2001, I did technically die, and had to be resuscitated. And so I swear it was as though he got in his head right then what he wanted. It was like all of a sudden this light went on for him, and he thought, oh, here's the ticket. I could get a fresh start with someone who doesn't know anything about my old past. I could have our life, and I could tell whatever story I wanted to about it, and I wouldn't have to give away half the credit, and I wouldn't have to share any of it, and I could get all this sympathy because I would be a widower. And I could just create this whole story, because the next person I know doesn't have to know my story. She knows my story. She knows I didn't have anything when we met, and I wouldn't have to have any of that humiliation anymore. Now I could have someone who doesn't know, who I don't owe anything, and doesn't know anything about me. And so that's what I want. I want out. And he never wanted a divorce. He wanted that. He wanted what he would get if I was dead. And so that became the goal. If I didn't die, which he was really sincerely hoping I would, and even I am fairly certain I was told was looking into finding ways to make sure that I was gone. But he was certainly hoping that I would either my heart would act up again, or I would commit suicide, or I would just run away or disappear, get locked up in an insane asylum, or I don't know what. But he was definitely hoping that I would off myself or be offed somehow forever, and that's pretty much what he had in his mind. In his mind, in none of their minds did they ever were they thinking that I was going to be around and living and just going on with life and being okay. And they just thought they were done with me and I was going to be gone. Like I said, he didn't want a divorce. He didn't want to go through a divorce and pay child support and divide up the assets equitably and all that. No, he wanted what he would get if I was dead. And so he wasn't settling for anything short of that. And he basically just about got that. It maybe even, possibly even better than that, because he was really able to create a bunch of drama, which he loved. And he was able to, with my help, make me look really bad. With my parents' help and with my help, and we all helped him out. I was his best accomplice for sure. I was his best accomplice because I was so trusting and I was so such a wreck. I mean, just anyway. He confessed that it was true. That he said, "Yeah, I did. They were crying every night, and it was just, it was like better for them just to think you were, just to believe that you were gone." I don't know what else to do about it. But my son doesn't say anything to me for 3 years. And finally, when he starts there starts to be trouble starts around 7th grade. And that was the year that my husband met his now wife. And at the same time, my son also started seeing this girl, his first and really only significant relationship, very destructive relationship, codependent relationship. The normal kid, the living off of resilience, and just lasted up through 6th grade. But 7th grade, we started seeing trouble, and grades dropped and all that. And that's when first signs of depression started. And that's when he said to me, "How could somebody do that? How could a father do that to their child? How could he tell me that my mother was dead?" And he started kind of breaking down about it. And so we talked about it, and I said, I don't know. I'm so sorry that happened. And that's how far they'll go. And the way that he would talk about it, he would say, I remember him saying about that same 7th grade year or so, him saying something about my ex, saying something about needing to get the kids a new mother. And I said, they have a mother. And he said, well, yeah, but what if I get married again, then you'll have a new wife and they'll have a stepmother. But they have a mother. But it wasn't registering. In his mind, I was out. I was inconsequential. I was dead to him. And I was completely dead to him. And when he strikes out again at me when he goes out for custody, it's clear that that's the case, because he hasn't kept up to speed. He treats me as though it's going to be just as easy as it was the first time, as though I'm just as vulnerable and just as helpless and just as he hasn't paid any attention to all the changes that I've made, and he hasn't paid any attention to my life at all. I'm just completely inconsequential to him. It's like I don't even exist anymore. Until he gets with this wife, this new woman who, they need drama, A, and B, she just, I'm someone that she can come and be divisive with. And one of her big focuses is on befriending my family and getting rid of me. And so even though I have no interest in them and their life at all, I'm just no problem for them at all. I stay out of their whole way. I am trying to just fly under the radar screen and get my kids through their childhood with as much peace as possible, and as little conflict with their dad as possible, and as much time with me that they can heal and grow up as possible. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that I think you can count on from a sociopath. That's what it's like when you are co-parenting with a sociopath.